Hello everyone, welcome back to JW's Dugout. I'm John. Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we've got part two, the grand finale in this little two-part series that I've put together where we're taking a look at my Atlanta Braves World Series Championship autographs. You may recall that about a week and a half ago we took a look at the 2021 team, and I figured it would be only appropriate since they celebrated an anniversary a couple days ago to travel back in time a little bit and take a look at my all-time favorite team, the 1995 World Series champions, the Atlanta Braves. And this is the year Atlanta finally got over the hump. The year a city, I would say, full of heartbreak finally got its parade. And we'll start off by showing off this framed Atlanta Journal-Constitution from 1995, October 29th, 1995. I was about 8 years old when this happened, and I loved every moment of it. So this is the team that means a lot to me personally. They were my childhood team. They were the team my grandfather introduced me to, even though I became a Braves fan in 1993. 1995, I would say, was the first year where I watched absolutely every single game. We'd watch them on TBS every single night. And when I tell you every single game of the season, I mean it with all my heart. If it was the Braves versus the Expos in mid-July, you best believe I was there, probably with a Capri Sun in hand and a little notebook diligently keeping score. I loved every single moment of it. Here's the Sports Illustrated celebrating the World Series championship. We've got a lot of glare there, but definitely wanted to show this one off. And I still remember exactly where I was when Marquise Grissom squeezed the final out to clinch the championship against the Indians. It was just pure joy, pure relief for the city of Atlanta, even though I was in New York at the time. And for me, it was really, truly the start of a lifelong fandom that's still going strong today. So with this video, I want to go over the World Series roster and show you all the autographs that I have, the entire team. I've got some members of the front office, coaching staff, some key figures, and a little bit of memorabilia to show off as well. But this is very important to me. I know this video is a little self-serving. I may, in fact, be the only person interested in the 1995 World Series champions. I'm sure there's some Braves fans out there that potentially might be watching, but very excited to show this off. So let's swing the camera around. We'll jump into the 1995 season, and then we'll check out some autos. All right, guys, we're going to start off with a couple of programs and then really dive into the autographs. But I want to show off a few pieces of memorabilia that really capture the 1995 World Series champion team. First off, we'll start off with this sealed with a little tear there, 1995 World Series champions VHS, the collector's edition. Hasn't been opened, but this was an hour-long special that I believe you can still find on YouTube, but it was narrated by Skip Carey and Pete Van Wieren. I'll hold off on showing the signed edition of Chop Talk that I have of both of those should-be Hall of Fame announcers, but just an excellent piece for the 95 team. And then let's start digging into some magazines and some programs. First, I want to start off with this Beckett from January of 1996 that commemorated the Braves winning it all. You've got Ted Turner, you've got Oral on Cleveland, Javi Lopez jumping into Mark Wohler's arms, Kenny Lofton, Tom Glavine, just some classic images. Really happy to have that one. You've got the program from the NLDS, the division series against the Colorado Rockies. Some great images on the front of this. Steve Avery, Mark Lemke, Rafael Belliard, Wohlers, Merker, Blauser. These are my guys. David Justice. Love this. Keep that one sealed. And then we have, showed this off a little while ago when I picked it up. This is the program from the NLCS, Braves and Reds. October 1995. This is the one that was given out at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. So got that one there. How about the Sports Illustrated Collector's Edition, Champs at Last, with Mr. David Justice on the front cover. Just some great iconic images. Of course, you've got Babe Ruth when he was on the Boston Braves. We won't go through all of this, but let's see if we can... oh, look who it is. My favorite player, Fred McGriff, the humble hitman. Some great feature stories in here. We won't go through all of this, like I said, but it really tells the tale of the 95 season for the Braves. And then, of course, we'll round it out with the World Series program. Braves and Indians, with the scorecard still intact. And I really, really loved NBC's lineup at the time. I mean, look at the radio. You've got Vin Scully and Jeff Torborg, who obviously... was the former big league manager with the Expos. On the television side, you've got Bob Costas, Bob Uecker, and Joe Morgan. You've got Al Michaels, Tim McCarver, and Jim Palmer. Again, I look at the ad for Ken Burns's baseball doc. You can buy the set on VHS. Just some great stuff here. Look at the ad for Ken Griffey's Major League Baseball on Super Nintendo. This is my childhood right here, guys. World Series Baseball 1995, Sega Genesis. We've got all the rosters. Bobby Cox, Belliard, Blauser, Pedro Barbone, Brad Clontz. Loved everything about this team. All right, so we won't go through all of that, like I said, but let's give a quick recap. All right, so the 1995 Braves, of course, were built on pitching. No surprise there. And 95 was, of course, the strike-shortened season. So they just played 144 games, but the Braves still dominated. They finished 90-54, which was the best record in the National League. And when the playoffs started, they faced a prolific offense in the Colorado Rockies. And they ended up cruising past the Rockies and then, of course, the Reds in the NLCS before taking down Cleveland in 6 games in the World Series. And for as great of an offense as the Braves had, you know, between a young Chipper Jones, Fred McGriff, of course, Ryan Klesko, just some great names in the lineup. It really wasn't about flashy offense. It was about control. It was about execution and, of course, pitching dominance. When you have a rotation that has Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Steve Avery, it's practically unfair for the opponents. So, but, you know, to their credit, they went up against an absolute juggernaut of an offense in the Cleveland Indians. This was a team that had a young Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, Albert Bell, Carlos Baerga at the top of the lineup, Kenny Lofton at the top of the lineup. The list really goes on. Just a prolific offense. And some great pitching as well. And for everything that goes along with that, the series was remarkable in that 5 of the 6 games were won by 1 run, including the clinching 6th game, which was a 1-0 victory, of course, by the Braves. It was a combined 1-hitter by Tom Glavine and Mark Wohlers. And that, of course, was a start that culminated in Glavine winning the World Series MVP. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and dig into all of the autographs that are here. We are going to start off with, let me pull this from my table on the side here. We're going to start off with the man who did it all, and this was Ted Turner, the owner of the Braves, and this is his PSA authenticated photo. Without him, you know, there's no TBS dynasty, no national fandom, and you know, he's probably also the only owner to ever race a sailboat and a news network in the same weekend. So, of course, controlled CNN and everything that goes along with that. So really happy to have picked this one up. Put this up here for a second. Let's go to the architect, John Schuerholz. This is his PSA DNA authenticated Hall of Fame postcard. He's the guy who built the roster brick by brick, blending veteran leadership with, of course, homegrown stars. A number of players between Justice and Klesko and Chipper, Tom Glavine, they all worked their way through the Braves minor leagues. to become, major league stars. So love that one there. Bobby Cox, I won't pull out his card where he's on the Yankees for obvious reasons, but we've got a signed baseball right here. Bobby Cox, Mr. Steady, known for just the right number of ejections to keep things interesting, and the perfect skipper for the perfect starting rotation. And then to go along with that, his right-hand man at the time, and I picked this one up about 3.5 years ago, this is Leo Mazzoni, the pitching guru. Probably rocked more calories off the bench than most of us burn in a workout. He was known for rocking right next to Bobby Cox in the dugout, but a mastermind when it came to, getting the starting rotation in order and really creating one of the best rotations baseball has ever seen. All right, so let's move to the cards. I do have one other photo that's autographed, but we'll move over to the cards for a second. We're going to start with the 2017 Topps archive of what I think is the forgotten gem in Steve Avery. He battled some injuries throughout 1995, but really still contribute to the powerhouse staff. He's probably best known in my family as both of my sisters had huge crushes on him. So that always stands out for me, but really happy to own this. I expected big things out of Avery. He kind of flamed out afterwards, went to the Red Sox in 97 and the Reds, and finally finished up his career, but happy with that one. Out of the bullpen, Pedro Barbone Jr., and this is his 1996 Leaf. He was a key bullpen piece. Of course, the younger Barbone carried on the family name strong that year. We've got an in-person auto, this 1996 Topps of Brad Klontz. He was a rookie at the time, but you guys probably remember his sidearm. Just a very, very unique delivery, nerves of steel, and just a key part of the Braves bullpen that year. All right, let's move on to a couple of Hall of Famers. This is his 2017 Topps Definitive, Tom Glavine, the World Series MVP, master of control, and really the Game 6 one-hitter cemented his status as a future Hall of Famer, but also as a big game pitcher. Glavine was excellent. And speaking of Hall of Famers and big game pitchers, 2021 Diamond Icons, Greg Maddux. What more can you say about the professor? You didn't hit Maddux, you just kind of hoped he'd make a rare mistake. Pinpoint control and would just fool hitters on a nightly basis. So love that one there. A couple other key arms, Greg McMichael, this is 1996 Leaf. You'll see a lot of these 96 Leafs. For whatever reason, the set had a lot of the lower level Braves, if you will. But McMichael was a solid reliever, reliable setup guy, always in the mix late in games. How about a guy who was also in the rotation? This is his 1990 Upper Deck in person, Kent Merker. Another steady lefty, helped keep the bullpen balanced and deep during the playoffs. All right. A few more arms to go with. This one was incredibly hard to track down in a Braves uniform. Alejandro Pena in his 1991 Upper Deck. Veteran presence and a huge part of the bullpen's backbone. Had a couple of key appearances in the World Series. These are guys that you just don't hear of anymore, but they mean a lot to me. And yet another Hall of Famer, 2019 Diamond Icons, John Smoltz. What more can you say about Smoltz? Fire and intensity, strikeout machine, who brought it when it really mattered. The guys of my childhood. And then the guy who finished off the World Series, his 2020 Topps archives, Mark Wohlers. Here was a guy with, a triple-digit fastball, ice in his veins, closed out the World Series in style. And then after his Braves career, couldn't find the strike zone. Ended up pitching for the Reds for a little bit. He's actually, last I checked, he was a realtor in the Atlanta area, so he's still around. He still makes his way to Truist Park. for, Braves reunions and whatnot. So happy to own that. All right, let's switch over to the offensive side of football. Let's see here. We're going to start with my grandfather's favorite player from the 95 team. You guys are going to laugh. Rafael Belliard. This is his 1996 Leaf signatures bronze. And Belliard was a fan favorite and really a wizard with the glove. I'm not sure he could hit it out of the infield if he tried, but defensively he was rock solid. I think he had 2 career home runs. I believe that was the case. He hit one when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates early in his career, and then one with the Braves. And Braves fans lost their absolute minds when he hit the home run. But really a pivotal character in the World Series, because for those of you who may not recall, Jeff Blauser, the starting shortstop for the Braves, was out with an injury. Belliard stepped in, didn't hit a lick in the World Series, but defensively came up big. I remember he had an error in the first game of the series, but after that, was rock solid. So happy to have that one. One of the other photos that I wanted to just showcase real quick, and that's the 1995 NLCS MVP, Mike Devereaux. He came over mid-season in 1995 and delivered some clutch hits in October, especially in that NLCS. So he's a pretty easy signer, so I was happy to get him on this autograph photo. So we'll put this one up here. All right, who is next on the list here? Give me 2 seconds. Let's see. Why don't we shift over to my guy, one of my favorite Braves. Unfortunately, I don't have his autograph in a Braves uniform, but you know what? That's okay. I've got him as an Expo. Marquise Grissom. And this is his 2015 Topps 5-star out of 50. One of my all-time favorite Braves from that era. Steady center fielder. As I mentioned, he caught the final out of the World Series. An Atlanta legend. He was, from Atlanta. His son plays baseball. He's actually made a pretty profound impact on Michael Harris. He does a lot of instruction for younger players in the Atlanta area. I do want to grab his auto in a Braves uniform, but also happy to represent the Montreal Expos. I actually just watched that doc on Netflix of who killed the Expos. Really interesting. I would definitely seek that out if you guys haven't watched it yet. Brought back a lot of good memories. I miss baseball in Montreal. I really wish at some point, through expansion, that Montreal gets a team, but who knows if that'll ever happen. But really happy to have Marquise Grissom's autograph. All right, next up is the man. We've got his autograph baseball, and we also have, I just pulled out this 1998 Donruss Signature Series, Chipper Jones. Again, next to McGriff, one of my all-time favorite players. 95, he was technically a rookie. If you guys recall, he had the injury that took him out in the 1994 season, but the 95 season is where he showed the early signs of what he would eventually become, which was, a Hall of Fame switch hitter, and obviously played a pivotal role in the Braves grabbing their title in 95. So put that there. We've got another homegrown Brave, and that's the 2019 Stadium Club of Mr. David Justice. I also have this signed photo on my wall over there. I won't pull that down. I'll just show this one for the sake of time. But David Justice, what can you say about him? He spoke his mind. There was a little bit of controversy when it came to some of the comments that he made to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution prior to Game 6 as far as fans showing up and supporting the Braves. But he backed it up with a pivotal home run in Game 6 that basically won the game for the Braves. All right. Another homegrown Brave. This is his 1996 Leaf, Ryan Klesko. Big bat, big energy. Always looked like he was ready to fight a fastball and a bear at the same time. But loved Rhino. How about this 2005 fan favorites of Mark Lemke? Lemmer was a quiet grinder, I would say. He always came up clutch in the postseason. Steady second baseman, and really key part of the Braves' top of the lineup in 95. Another guy who my 2 older sisters were obsessed with for, I guess, obvious reasons. This is his 2020 Topps Archives, Javi Lopez. At the time, a young, powerful catcher. who really guided the rotation like a veteran. Except for Maddox, who had his own personal catcher. All right. I showed this one off my last video, but this is a recent pickup of my many Fred McGriff autos, my all-time favorite player. It's 2025 Topps Chrome auto. What can you say about the Crime Dog? Smooth swing, steady power and presence, and a fixture in the middle of the lineup for the Braves. Love that one. All right, let's shift to some role players, some bench players. How about Mike Mordecai? When's the last time you heard that name? 1996 Leaf. As I mentioned, a versatile role player who really always did the little things right. He came up big in a couple key spots for the Braves. So we'll try to fly through these. The only other auto from this team that I don't have in a Braves uniform, very hard to find in a Braves uniform, Charlie O'Brien. This is him pictured in his Toronto Blue Jays gear, but backup catcher, defensive asset. He caught for Maddox, really tough as nails behind the plate. Came up with a couple big home runs throughout the postseason for the Braves in '95. Another one that's very hard to come by, Luis Polonia. This is his in-person 1996 score. Speedster off the bench, and he was a solid spark plug for the Braves in '95. Another guy who actually just recently passed away, I think it's probably been about a year now, 1997 Donruss Signature Series, Dwight Smith. He's another veteran bat and a clubhouse energy guy. He came up big in a couple key spots for the Braves. All right, let's keep flying through these. We're almost done. I know this is a very self-serving video because I don't know how many people are going to be interested in the '95 team. How about a signed mini bat, JSA authenticated, of Jeff Blauser, the Braves starting shortstop. Quiet leader in the infield. The thing is, he is kind of a recluse now. He is very hard to come by. So this actually cost me more than you would think. But a key member of the Braves in the early to mid '90s before he left for Chicago, and really happy to have his autograph. Need to get it on a card as well. All right, 2 more to go. All right, how about Eddie Perez in his 1996 Leaf? In '95, he really kind of learned from the best and became one himself later. He still plays an active role with the Braves. Like I said, he became Greg Maddox's personal catcher and just a key figure for the Braves for a number of years. All right, last but certainly not least, and you guys are going to laugh at this one. If anybody in the comments can tell me if you remember this guy, you are a true baseball fan. I remember him for obvious reasons, being a diehard Braves fan, but how about the 1996 Leaf, Ed Giovanola? I remember seeing Ed Giovanola in spring training in, I guess it had to have been '94, before the strike. And he made his major league debut with the Braves on, it was September of 1995. So he was a late season call-up. And because of the injury to Blauser, he was actually on the active roster of the World Series for Game 6. He appeared, and I've got this written down over here, let me just check. Yeah, he appeared in just 17 games for the Braves in the '95 season and posted a .071 batting average. So needless to say, his career did not last long, but hey, you know what? If you're on the active roster for my Atlanta Braves in 1995, I'm grabbing your autograph. I'm actually not sure how he made it to the checklist on the '96 Leaf checklist, but you know what? I'll take it. But really, guys, that's it. That's the 1995 Atlanta Braves, the team that finally gave Atlanta its long-awaited championship. And it's a team, like I said, built on pitching, built on defense, and just enough offense to get it done. And for me, the title was special, and every autograph in this collection really reminds me of that season. And all those nights watching Braves games with my grandfather, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I often revisit during the off season on YouTube. I'll pull up one of the World Series games or watch some past games from the NLCS or NLDS, and I love every minute of it. So thank you guys for tolerating this video. We'll get back to more standard vintage pickups in future videos, but for now, thanks for stopping by the Dugout. Don't forget to hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know down below. Like, do you have any memories of the 1995 team? Do you remember any of these players? Curious to hear from you guys. All right, we'll see you next time. Take care.